Here's Chris Schmidt.
Welcome to it. Great to be with you on a Monday. It is game week. Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel. We are streaming on a Monday. ESPN Lincoln's Facebook and ESPN Lincoln's Twitter. You hear us in Omaha, Central Nebraska, Columbus, and in Lincoln, just up the road from 10th and Vine. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel. Numbers to get in. Can join us today at 466-3776, 466-3776, 800-825-5865. And find us on Twitter at Schmidt_radio, Chris Schmidt, at Herbal Essence for Elijah Herbel. And follow the show at HVarsity Radio and always at Hail Varsity. Email the program, Chris at HailVarsity.com. Okay, so we will provide our fearless predictions in a little more than an hour, right after Coach McBride. Uncle Charlie joins us on every Monday, a Black Shirt Monday with Coach McBride. He'll be with us a little bit after 5. And then Travis Vokolek, a one-on-one with the senior captain and only offensive man as selected for Captain Travis Vokolek, the tight end, will be with us around 5:40. In about 20 minutes, one Husker fan and one Husker with a podcast you need to check out. Kyle Colmorgan, Jesse Bergman, Beyond the Turf. Sounds like a pretty awesome pod. And they'll be joining us. And Colmorgan, a former Southeast Knight, former Husker offensive lineman, so it's going to be all Southeast about 425 here. Elijah Herbel, former left tackle. That height on the roster for Elijah keeps growing. Junior year 6'5", senior year 6'8", and now he's in studio with me.
7 foot tall.
7 foot beast of a man. So, yeah, Northwestern, Nebraska. Bitsy's already killing with kindness. That's a good thing for Nebraska. So we'll dive into some of Fitz's thoughts. We'll hear a little bit from yesterday's Sunday presser. Coach Frost clearing up Pukegate. I'm over it, but you'll hear what he had to say. Really impressed with Casey Thompson. I've heard him. I've seen him before, and I've talked to enough folks, be it in the Oklahoma family or some friends we have down in Austin, Cedric Golden, that really liked the kid, but was super impressed by what he had to say. So we'll figure out here what this season is to be with our predictions. Now, a friend of the show, Coach, and I should say Professor Schrader and Professor Alloway, both 1,000% accurate on Twitter earlier. Save yourself the heartache. See a first game before you make predictions. That isn't any fun. Right?
I'm willing to eat crow.
Oh.
I'm willing to eat crow this season.
What'd I say last year? I think I said 7 last year. I've been way the hell off for a long time. I said 9 in 2016. But somehow, some way, fire has destroyed a lot of early season Schmidt predictions. A lot of Nixon tape moments with a racing that has happened.
See, and I hit some. You were gone for a day right before fall camp started, and Will Wilson and I
You're pointing that out like Johnny Carson was gone all the time.
I'm just pointing out that Will and I, we had our pre-fall camp bold predictions. I called it our predictions sure to go wrong, but I didn't want to get cease and desisted by Mike Greenberg. That's what they did on Golick and Mike in the Morning. There it is. They did that for years. So I didn't want to step on their toes, but we did those, and I've done pretty well with my predictions here so far.
So you were all over 3-9 last year? Is that what you're telling me?
No, that's not what I'm telling you at all. I am just telling you that my fall camp predictions were solid.
Okay. Fair enough. We will get to our predictions. And it's interesting to know what or think what this team will be. And it's real simple. You're in one category or the other. And you're that way if you like to wager. And you're that way if you're a true fan. You either bet with your heart or you bet with your head. It's That simple. And too many times you have some gray area. So, truth be told, my dad wasn't a big-time bettor, but he would put heat down. I don't know how much heat. He would joke about me never going to college, but I always thought that was more about my academic prowess and less on my college fund being wiped out thanks to Sooner Magic. So he would always bet Oklahoma. I think he'd bet OU all the time. And if he ended up paying money as penance because Nebraska would win or cover, it was a win-win. I think that's the complicated Husker fan math he did in his head. But more times than not, that's how it would go. So what are we going to need from this football team if you're a Nebraska fan? Well, let's go down the list of things you can check off that are required to be a successful football team in the Big Ten. First and foremost on that list is toughness. Got to be a tough football team. Do you think this team is tough? I do. Do you think this team is mentally tough? I do. The way they kept battling, and you have remnants of last year that are part of your captains this year. So when we talk about successful teams, they are going to be tough. You have to be tough in the Big Ten. I check that off. Are they athletic? I think so.
They're called the all-bus team for a reason.
Are they as athletic as Ohio State? No, because nobody is. Are they as athletic as Michigan? Maybe. Are they as athletic as Sparty? Don't know. Penn State? Probably not. Are they as athletic as Minnesota and Iowa and Wisconsin? I would think so. Mm-hmm. So they're tough. They're athletic. Now we got to talk about poise. That's the question mark. New faces, new coaches. Do we know about this team's poise? And it has only one direction to go in close games, and that is up, because you were 0 for a year ago. You've been 0 for the life of the Scott Frost era, more times than not, aside from what you did against Sparty in the snow. Who do we have on the horn?
Got Bob on the line.
Bob, thanks for hanging on. Go ahead, welcome in.
Hey, go Big Red, first of all. Listen, I have not been confident in Frost. You know that. I've talked to you before, Smitty. Mm-hmm. But I'm cautiously optimistic. I like the new hires, and I really think that it's going to be a good year because of, from all the reports I've been hearing, and I listen to the Huskers on my Alexa device, because now KSOO FM, or ESPN FM out of Sioux Falls, doesn't carry Nebraska anymore.
It's a good thing you hear us on 590, my friend. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, but what I mean is, I listen to it on my Alexa device, and I did last year because they seemed to be better at streaming last.
Bob, I got to get your prediction here, partner. What do you think?
I think Nebraska 38, Northwestern 3.
Okay, for the season.
Oh, for the season, I think they'll get. I think they're going to get 7 wins.
Bob says 7-5. Bob, I like
7-5 with a big week 0 victory.
But like I said, I'm cautious, Smitty. I'd like people to say more than that.
No, but you got to be cautious, man. You got to be extremely cautious with this team because of the unknowns. Bob, we always love hearing from you, brother. Thanks for the phone call today. Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks. And go Big Red again, man.
There he is. Good for Bob. Love Bob. Bob always checks in on us. And he says 38-3, so that's a win and cover and an under. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's hear a little bit from Frost. Why they're excited, why Nebraska's ready. They are boarding and on the way to Ireland here. Did they leave already, or is that?
It was at some point this afternoon.
So they are they're making their way, and hopefully it's gin and tonic time for somebody on board.
We're excited right now. We've been in the middle of fall camp for a long time, and it can seem at the middle end of fall camp, like you're just practicing and stuck in a rut of practicing. I think our players are really excited that we kind of turned our attention now and it's officially game week. This trip has been a long time coming, a couple years and a lot more time than that on preparation for this. We've been talking to our players a lot about handling this the right way and making sure it's a business trip, but if we have enough work done and feel confident enough with what we're doing going over there, I think the more confident we are about that, the more we can just enjoy another country, the culture over there, and still focus on the things that we need to get done.
Scott Frost there. So we're talking a little bit here about formula for postseason, formula for a 180 from what Nebraska has been the last 5 years. Toughness, athleticism, what's your poise level like, and do you have the right leadership? When it comes to clutch, can you deliver? And I think we can go throwback here and look at some teams that are rough and tumble and find ways to win. If you look to the NFL, there's been a couple of instances of, well, how did that happen? Super Bowl champs. And Baltimore with, dare I say, Trent Dilfer as quarterback, found a way because of Ray Lewis and the Goose, God rest his soul, play an incredible defense. In Baltimore, Tennessee's runs with McNair in defense, right? And you can play defense, you can pack your special teams and pack your run game, and those three can work well. And you hearken back to 2009 in Nebraska where they just flat out didn't have enough offense to go with a great defense. And what's the offense going to be like to complement the defense that if they stay where they're at or improve with turnovers and sacks, right, then you're cooking. Because you were good enough to win a lot of ball games last year defensively. And if you get to the we just don't suck level of things on special teams, there's two phases. Mm-hmm. Talk to any coach and a lot of players, and they say you got to win two of the three phases. Defense, special teams, offense, and special teams, offense, defense, which means they're not going to go Rahib Ishmael or Johnny Rodgers on you and return 5 punts. It could happen to Nebraska, right? It would be the one team. Who's on the horn with us?
Got Vay on the line.
Vay, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Hey, how are you?
Good. What do you say?
Good. Well, I'm just going to put this out there that this year, hang on, sorry, real quick. I'm just going to put this out there that this year we're going to make it to the Big Ten championship game. I don't know what the record's going to be, but that's the feeling I get this year.
Okay.
Based on the fact that we have a quarterback that can throw but has a pocket presence, as well as defensive line play, specifically the three criteria.
Okay, so you
I
think
feel that's going to take us there.
Hey, you know what? 8-4. Vay, thanks for calling. Appreciate you tuning in. 8-4, 9-3 could get you there. You could have a log jam at 9-3. And what's your head-to-head look like? Crossover is very favorable. We're knocking on wood. Who else is with us?
Unsure. I didn't get a chance to field this one yet.
Okay, why don't you field that first so there's no surprises. Coming up, we're going to check in with Kyle and Jesse, their podcast, and get their take on things beyond the turf. Good to hear from them. They're in the green room on the StreamYard. We'll get there in a moment. Charlie McBride is 1 hour away on Hail Varsity Radio. And also Travis Vokolek, a sit-down with him, Nebraska's senior captain, the transfer from Rutgers, and a guy that wants to really had his arms open to be a captain. And his dear friend Austin Allen, a captain a year ago, was big in that tight end room, is truly honored, so it was wonderful to get caught up with Vokolek. So that's on the way. But we're talking predictions. We will unveil ours in 1 hour after Coach McBride.
And without diving too far into it, I'll give you one reason for optimism, one reason for pessimism. One reason for optimism is I think you look at those team captains, guys like Garrett Nelson, guys like Caleb Tanner, you feel comfortable with those guys being the heart and soul of the team. If the team can take on the attributes of those guys, I think you as a Husker fan will feel some confidence. The nervousness comes from the unknowns, especially along the offense.
No, the nervousness is going to, and we'll talk to Kyle Cole-Morgan about this, is the offensive line. I mean, are you going to survive a pressure rate of, dear God, what did I read it was in Max Olson's article against Adrian last year? Over 40%. Who do we have?
On line, one of our favorites, Greg in Michigan.
Greg in Michigan. Greg, go ahead. What happens this year?
What happens this year is 7 wins. However, if they lose to Northwestern the first game, downgrade that to 3 to 4 wins.
That's how big the opener is. I don't disagree. It's that makes OU a must.
Absolutely.
If you don't get it handled in Ireland. So you think this is worth about 3 wins? I don't disagree. They got to get off on the right foot.
That momentum,
big time.
Right. Yep, for sure. And my score for the game is 24-16, Nebraska.
All right, that's a Northwestern cover. Greg, we appreciate you calling. We'll get to our guests, Kyle Cole-Morgan, Jesse Bergman, next.
And we're back.
Fellas, think we could listen to the radio listen?
On Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery.
Yes! That's awesome!
Back with you on Monday, Hail Varsity, presented by the Nebraska Lottery. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel, Mr. Blackshirt, Charlie McBride, less than an hour away. And Travis Vokolek, Beyond the Turf, the podcast. You're a big Red fan. Check out, do I go government or alias? JB and Cole with us as we're streaming. And Kyle Cole-Morgan and Jesse Bergman joining us here. We're streaming ESPN Lincoln Facebook, ESPN Lincoln Twitter. Guys, how we doing? Kyle, been a while. Good to spend time with you, man.
You know, it's good to be on, and I've got a cut in my radio feed, so no big deal though. Things are good. We're excited about Beyond the Turf. JB is the great straight guy, and I am. You know, I do what I do. I say what I'm going to say.
You do, and what's awesome is there's a close up of your there we go. Zoom out, my man. We got some for you. There we go. Jesse, good to meet you. Thanks for jumping on here. I'm not hearing him. Is he muted?
Do we have Jesse?
I hear him and see him talking.
I had a muted mic. Yeah, Chris, it's great to chat with you and see you as well, man. Thanks for having us on. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, fellas, tell me, before we dive into Northwestern here, I need to know about the pod and what's it all about. Tell Nebraska fans about it.
Yeah, I don't know if we lost Kyle, so I'll just go until he comes back.
I think he threw his phone in anger.
Kyle and I started the pod just out of the kind of endearment of our heart about Nebraska football and sports athletics in general. And one of the trends we had seen a lot was sort of the people that come at people on social media, particularly personalities, celebrity personalities, stuff like that. Chris, you may know a little bit about this too. I don't know for sure, but at the end of the day, all of these guys, whether they're athletes, coaches, sports personalities, whatever, are people at the end of the day. And so Beyond the Turf was all about us trying to get to know the person behind the athlete, getting to know the person behind the coach, that sort of thing. So that was where we started the process. We're just getting up and running with it. It's a brand new podcast. We're just dropping episode 3 tomorrow. It's kind of a format where we spend one episode talking to somebody special, and then another episode, Kyle and I will come on and we'll talk about something that's near and dear to our heart, whether that's the season prediction, which will be dropping tomorrow from us, or it'll be, something about, who knows, Big Ten expansion rules, whatever is going on. So we kind of go whichever way we want. We're pretty raw. So Kyle's got a lot more to say about it. He's definitely the man that really inspired me to get involved in this. And like he said, I'm the straight guy. I just keep him on the rails.
No, that's all good. Was it a nice ask or was it a threat to JB?
Well, I've known him for 40 years, so I don't know what's the difference at this point.
No, I did he just kind of walk up, tap your shoulder and say, here's what you're doing? Kyle, it's been fun to follow your career, man, at Southeast and also at Nebraska, and then, of course, in the professional world. And you still, you still follow Nebraska, and you've got a take or several, I think, on Nebraska and in the season. Are you feeling, let me ask you this, you feeling good about Saturday? Let's start there.
Well, I hope I'm live. So
you are. You're good. Just we got
we got the top of your head, but you're live.
You're fine. We can hear you. What I can't have though is any Sam Kennison tributes. You know what I mean?
There we go.
Okay, good. So here's where I'm at on this. I'm with everyone else. Northwestern is the game, and the question me and my peers have that have watched the team and seen the team has been, are we closer to 10 or 6? 10 or 6. It's that simple. And this is so scary to me because it's my boys, it is my dogs. It all comes down to the O-line. Our defensive side of the ball, we upgraded in the portal. Like it's hard to believe that when we lost who we lost, but that is a very good side of the football team. One deep on the D line, we're probably starting we are probably starting at 1, 2, or 3 in the Big Ten. Like, think of that. We lost Damian Daniels, we lost Stilley, we lost some dogs there, and we lose them, but we repot, we replace, replenish in the portal. We're good. I think our running back room is solid. I think our quarterback room, we're as deep. And I don't know if Casey Thompson's our guy all year. I don't.
Because of injury or effectiveness.
But Chubba Purt. What's that?
Because of injury or ineffectiveness potentially with Casey.
Yeah, so I think Chubba Purdy and Casey Thompson and Smothers and Harbeck or Heinrich, I think they're all capable. So I think we have a deep, capable quarterback room. I think our running back room's solid. I think our wide receiver room is good. They got to be coached up. I think Trey Palmer's really good. From there, we see a dip. Mickey Joseph needs to earn his money. Sorry, I'm putting it out there. At the end of the day, and I'm an old lineman at heart. I played it forever. I think it comes down to what Donovan builds in that O-line room. And we need a healthy Teddy Prochaska. We need a healthy Turner Cochran. If we have those two in play, Ben Hart's looked good all season, all preseason. So I don't know. I'm closer to 10 than I am 6. How about that?
That works.
He's got money on it. So they better be.
So Cole is driving back from the boats is what we're. I'm joking. Allowed to jump in here.
Yeah. Question just here for Kyle. With that offensive line, do you think the defense is going to be good enough to help pull them along while they kind of get their feet wet this season, learning under a new position coach? I mean, there's a lot of learning that can be done during a season. It's not just off-season and preseason where your development is done. They can have a few weeks to get their feet wet, but do you think the defense is good enough to at least give them the time to get a couple wins under their belt before you get into those Oklahoma games and games where it's going to mean a little bit more in Big Ten season?
No, that's a great question because – download our track on Beyond the Turf, JB and Cole, tomorrow because we talk about that. The reality is we get through Northwestern. If we can go to Ireland, we don't need to cover. Who gives a shit about that?
Dude, no more. Okay.
That? Sorry.
You can't do that. Yeah. That's your warning, and we're done. Got me? Please.
So who cares about that? But if we get through Northwestern – and we get into the next 2, we get our sea legs. Teddy's healthy. Cochran's healthy. Ben Hart plugs in. We're solid against Oklahoma. If we win, I believe if we win Northwestern, we'll be favored against Oklahoma. That's my take, and I've been wrong before. So.
Kyle Cole-Morgan with us.
I think that's how it plays out.
Yep, and Jesse Bergman. Here's the number right now. It's interesting how tight it is with Nebraska, Oklahoma. I know Northwestern's getting 13 points for Saturday. You have Nebraska is a home underdog right now by 4.5. Usually you get 3 points at home, right, for home field, and you do that math there. It is so vital, and that's the feel, man. That's the feel with the fan base, the state. It is so huge to get this first one because it's not happened. You haven't beaten a Power 5 to start the year under Coach Frost, and that's crazy to say, crazy to think about. But guys, where is it? Spotify, iTunes, Google Play. When it comes to the download, where are the platforms folks can check in on Beyond the Turf?
Yeah, Beyond the Turf is available on all major platforms, Chris. So whatever your favorite podcast platform, you can find it just by searching up Beyond the Turf. You can follow us on Twitter at Beyond the Turf. We've got a Facebook group if you want to engage in some conversation. We usually have some fun with it over there on Facebook. So if you're a Facebook guy or gal, you can come and join us there. But yeah, we're excited just to be putting it out, and we appreciate you spending some time with us today.
Oh, good. Kyle, last thought from you, man. As an O-lineman, what do you like about this group in Raiola? You mentioned he's got a build. I don't doubt that. But are the pieces there to be a team that can run the football? I'm not saying they're going to be great at pass pro. But you got based on last year, but can they get a run game going?
Yeah, so Donnie, what's a funny story is when me and Dominic lived together, Donnie lived on our couch for a year. so yeah. So I know the guy great, and he's a great dude. And, he just had I truly believe he had the clay, and I think he has to mold the clay. But, sea legs and game legs and that, it doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen in practice. So Donnie has worked these guys, and he's done an incredible job. And I believe in him. I believe in what he's doing, and I know Coach Frost does. Mm-hmm. I believe in the whole vision. Like, I'm not a mouthpiece for these guys. I'm not, for goodness sake. But I think Donovan has done an incredible job, and I think he has the right pieces. We got to get through Northwestern. It comes down to that. We get there, we get our sea legs, we get a couple of easy games. Confidence. We get to Oklahoma, we can win that if we're 3-0.
Well, I got to ask the question: what was the worst part about having Donnie as a roommate? PG rated, please.
Say that again.
The worst part about having Donnie as a roommate. We got about 60 seconds.
PG rated, my friend. Worst part about Donnie the roommate.
Yeah. Well, PG rated, you know what? PG rated, they were great roommates. Listen to the podcast for the real story.
The E-True Hollywood story on Donnie the roommate.
That's right.
Kyle Cole-Morgan, Jesse Bergman, Beyond the Turf, the podcast. Check that out. Fellas, we'll do this again. Good to get caught up. Guys, spend time with you. Thanks for jumping on Hail Varsity with us.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Bye.
There he is. Kyle Cole-Morgan, Jesse Bergman. And, he's all about it. I didn't know he roomed with Dom and Donnie.
Yeah, I'm sure that he's got some stories.
And flip it around. They may have a few stories on him, too.
That's a great point.
Right. So, no, they are off and running. Northwestern, Nebraska, in Dublin. We are there for Friday's show, for Saturday's pregame, and then I'll be over there Monday with reaction. Hopefully something good if you're a Nebraska fan. We'll have our season predictions less than an hour away. Charlie McBride coming up in hour 2. It's Hail Varsity. More thoughts from you. Open phones till 5-466-3776.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Back with you at Hail Varsity, presented by the Nebraska Lottery. Heart or head, how you betting on the season? We're talking predictions. Sure to go wrong, maybe on our end. Mo is on the horn. Can join us at 466-3776 or 800-825-5865. Mo, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
I'll make it short and sweet so other people can get on. Nebraska 8-4, and I see 34-10 for the Northwestern game. I think it's going to be a good season.
Hey, appreciate the time. 8-4 is popular, and you can see that working out, Mo. 24-point win is a cover, and Elijah, you've said unders. You've been on the unders for quite a while, Elijah.
I think this defense has not only top 5 in the Big Ten potential, I think they have top 20 in the country potential if they can live up to the athleticism and what Shenander's been building through there. And I think that's enough to get Nebraska to a place that can carry the offense to a win against Northwestern. But that remains to be seen just a little bit. But I do think this defense has great potential to be not only one of the best units in the Big Ten, but one of the better units in the country.
Mo, Jamison, or Guinness? Mo ejected. He did not want to answer that question. It's okay. That's the real question. You get over there, you're going to do more Guinness, you're going to do more Jameson. You got to twist here's the thing, and people told me this, and I'm a little bit of a wuss with my whiskey intake. There's some I can do straight with a little water. There's some I need a little help with, and the Bailey, named for Coach Bailey, the lemonade, we talked about this Friday a little bit. But if I ask for a lemonade, Jameson and lemonade, on Wednesday or Thursday, whenever I get over there, are they going to knife me? Possibly. I just better stick to Guinness.
Well, we got our man on the scene, Hooksy's already there. You can ask him to do a little test run for you.
Let him get knifed. Who's with us?
Got Robert on the line.
Robert, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
8-4 record, 31-17 Northwestern. And I think other than the Ohio State, I think we have enough skill and camaraderie and unity to beat anyone.
Okay.
So you have Northwestern winning on Saturday, or Nebraska?
Not even. No.
Okay.
No, Nebraska 31-17 Northwestern.
I had to clarify because you said 8-4, and then I heard 31-17.
Good clarification.
Yep. Good work, Robert. Thanks for the phone call. All right. 466-3776 or 800-825-5865. I didn't ask Robert, Jameson or Guinness. We will. I should have asked Vokolek yesterday. Travis, the captain, tight end, coming up less than an hour. Can send your predictions, season, and score in as well. Can email Chris@HaleVarsity.com. Find us on Twitter at Schmidt_radio.
And Mo just checked in with me to let you know he is saying Guinness and shepherd's pie. No on the Jameson.
Okay. Guinness and shepherd's pie. Yeah, that's where I'm leaning as well. I'm leaning that way as well. Let's hear a little bit more from Frost. You have Dan that chimes in. Do they even know what lemonade is over there? I would think lemonade's not just unique to America.
Is it? I don't know. I've never actually looked into the popularity of lemonade worldwide. It's something I just it's easy, you know. It's lemons and sugar and a little ice. Like I assume it's everywhere, but I guess I don't know.
Yeah, I'm setting up if Customs is listening to the pod tomorrow. I get over there with my equipment. There's going to be locked up abroad on the Discovery Channel midnight. Be trying to dial Elijah. I mean, no answer.
I'm not bailing you out.
No,
brother.
You're not. More from Frost on the clarification. Roll your eyes and slump your shoulders, but there was clarification on Pukit. You got to hear.
I want to touch on the O-line things I said earlier this week. I was trying to portray how hard the O-line had been working and how proud of them I am. Might have exaggerated puking a little bit, but the important thing is I want to make sure everybody understands that our training staff and weight staff do an unbelievable job of keeping me abreast of everything going on at practice. We have monitors, heart monitors. We know their complete output. We cut back practice if we think it's getting too hard or guys have spent too much. I talked about our practices this camp have been 3 on and 1 off, which is all an attempt to try to keep them healthy and fresh. So I know a lot got made out of that. I can assure you between Mark and the weight staff and I, we're doing absolutely everything to keep these guys healthy.
So Frost was making sure that you knew that they're all right. Casey Thompson, let's talk quarterback and why he won the job. And experience is so key, right? Why is experience key? Because theoretically, you make fewer mistakes. You heard Cole Morgan last segment. He's buying stock in the quarterback room. Plenty of options. Running backs, same. And then what's the gap between those after Trey Palmer? And is he ready to be a number one? You've got some dudes that were at LSU. Well, you leave LSU to be a dude in Lincoln. What's Omar going to give you? What's Martin going to give you? And Washington and the transfer guy, Castaneves. And then there's Alante Brown. You've heard a lot of good things. I'd love to see the football get to Alante Brown in space because he's so electric with his athleticism. But Frost on Casey, and Casey was impressive yesterday.
I'd say the biggest thing I would point to with experience is just lack of mistakes. Anytime you're a new player, there's more mistakes than somebody who's had experience. And a lot of quarterbacks played well in camp. I'd say Casey had the fewest turnovers, fewest buzz, fewest mistakes. I think experience is going to be even more important when you're going overseas to play in another country, a different environment. This isn't a home game. This is a completely different thing. And he's played a lot of college football, so I think the environment will be natural to him.
We'll hear from Casey Thompson here in a moment, and Elijah, that should be in my folder. But let's hear from Casey. Not necessarily the Northwestern game plan, but a little bit more from Casey. I think that second cut from him as he was in front of the media yesterday.
Anything from walkthroughs, routes on air, 1-on-1, 7-on-7, team versus scouts, team versus the defense, scrimmages, it doesn't matter. I'm always trying to be perfect. I want to have perfect throws. I want to make perfect reads. Throughout the last 18 or 19 practices, I've had a couple practices where I was maybe 1 or 2 throws off from being perfect on the whole day. That's from start to finish in the practice. So I'm just continuing to strive for perfection. I don't know if I'll ever get there in a practice or a game, but like I said, the chip on my shoulder is bigger now than it ever was, and I'm just trying to be a winning quarterback and play at a high level for this team.
So his mentality shone through a little bit to me yesterday. It's not just hyperbole or, man, let's pump up this data point or storyline about being a gym rat and a film guy, right? Because those are all things you want to hear, but you want it to translate on the field. But he's a high standards guy. That's 1,000% what came through. And you hear about leadership and our guys wanting to play for him and has he won the locker room? I mean, all those questions have floated around. How close are the other 10 with him? And if he's been vocal and he's holding you to a standard and he's in your face, theoretically, if you're not doing your job, that's what's been missing the last several years here. We'll wind down hour 1 on Hail Varsity.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
One final time, Charlie McBride's 10 minutes away. Travis Vokolek next hour as we're taking predictions for the season. We will have our season prediction coming up 5:25. Off to Ireland Wednesday, on air Friday, Saturday, Monday from the Emerald Isle. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel, Hail Varsity, presented by the Nebraska Lottery. Can email if you don't want to jump on the horn. That's all right. Can tweet at us at Schmidt_radio, at HVarsity Radio, at Herbal Essence for Elijah Herbel. But can email Chris at HailVarsity.com. Been a lot of 8 and 4s. But Greg in Michigan, our dear longtime listener, is not wrong if they find a way to blow off a limb in Ireland and start off the year 0-1 in conference again. It's not that they can't recover, but this fan base is... in the home of golf, everyone deserves a mulligan. This is your mulligan for last year. Mm-hmm. So find a way to get to the fairway. Lay up if you have to, i.e. defense, run game, special teams on point, preferably if you're a Nebraska fan, for Saturday. And doesn't matter. 1 point, 30 points. Scores have been a little ballooned. I think this is a one-possession game. I would bet Mama and Juniors, wherever they've buried their money in the back, on Northwestern to cover. Again, we will erase this and burn this tape if I'm wrong a week from today. Nebraska does what they did last year. Wow. Looking at the All-American, preseason All-American team that was released. What's nuts is just how good the Big Ten is. 8 of the starting 22 are from the Big Ten. You've got a lineman from Ohio State. You've got skill from Ohio State. You have a lineman from Northwestern that Nebraska is going to be going against. The thing about Nebraska is they have a 3-headed monster off the edge to go after Skronsky.
It should be noted, though, that the preseason All-American from Ohio State, I should say, his name escapes me. He's their left tackle.
Paris?
Yes.
He's as big as Paris?
Yeah, he was their left tackle last year. It should be noted that whenever Nebraska got that strip sack on C.J. Stroud down in the fourth quarter,
it was on him.
It was on him. So it's not like Nebraska's going up against the type of talent here at Northwestern that they haven't seen even in recent history. It's like Garrett Nelson did that against a preseason All-American last season. And
exactly.
It's still going to be a tough matchup against Northwestern, but Nebraska, I still think, has the skill advantage on most of their defense against Northwestern offense.
I think so, too, and Fitzy's going to hold his quarterback choice close to the vest, which isn't completely shocking. Email in from Todd. Todd says, I have us going 6-6 at best and losing a close one in Ireland. This player, that player, blah, blah, blah. Only 3 people touch the football on a given play. Doesn't matter how many. So so-called good players Nebraska has on offense will find a way to bleep it up. So enjoy your trip. I like Todd's dose of realism. He's been heartbroken a lot. He's big-time diehard fan. He is betting on Nebraska screwing up somehow. We'll see what Coach McBride thinks. A Monday with Charlie will kick the season off the right way. Game week here with Hail Varsity presented by the Nebraska Lottery.
Welcome to Hail Varsity Radio, the voice of Husker Nation. Insight, opinion, expertise, with the biggest and best names talking Nebraska across the state. Join the show on Twitter at Hail Varsity and at Schmidt_radio. Call in at 402-466-ESPN or 1-800-825-5865. Here's Chris Schmidt.
Back with you, it's Hail Varsity, Hour 2, presented by the Nebraska Lottery. Podcast, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play. Be sure to take the podcast with you in audio form, video form. That happens on the Hail Varsity YouTube channel. We welcome in Mr. Blackshirt, Charlie McBride. Another Monday with Charlie, another season with Coach. Are you ready? Coach McBride, you ready for some football?
Absolutely. I'm fired up.
I am too.
I have to find out what station it's on.
It'll be on Fox for you.
Yeah, good. We don't get that, but that's okay.
You don't get Fox?
Yeah, we get it. We get it.
That's so good. We don't get that one.
That's the beauty of this new Big Ten deal is it's nothing that you're going to have to get on cable. It's all over the air. Fox, CBS, and NBC. It's the beauty of it.
Well, I have to go back to the thing I said. I told Elijah that the wind is blowing in the right direction, and that's how I knew that we were at a game this week.
I bet. Yeah, it's probably howling down from the north in Michigan, isn't it?
Oh, boy, it's smoking now.
So you're telling me pack your defense, your run game, and some special teams.
Well, in a game, let me tell you something. If you go back and look at the Northwestern games from the beginning, you maybe only find 2 or 3 games at the most. Last year was one of them that are more than 3 points or 1 point.
Right.
I mean, and then it doesn't make any difference. You can look at all the stats you want. Like I've looked at last year's stats for both teams, and we're way ahead of Northwestern in a lot of areas that are important. the areas that are really important we're not real good at. And so that's the thing that I think it goes for all of them, is you're going to find out that our offense isn't as bad as people think it might have been. Mm-hmm. And, so it's got a lot of ifs, ands, or buts with it. I think the quarterback situation on offense is probably in pretty good shape because of the depth. Mm-hmm. And I think that's probably one of the places that people don't realize that, that it's, that we have some pretty good kids, and Northwestern is kind of struggling a little bit there. They have been in the last few years in the conference. But one of the things that many may not know is that they lost a kid that's their safety. And those guys are really, really important as far as making checks and as far as recognizing checks in formations and things like that, because they can see it better than anybody usually. And so, they have a new guy that's back there, and that could be, an advantage that people don't look at.
Well, and it's game one, and it's some mystery to Nebraska, right, with a new offensive coordinator and a whole bunch of new faces. Coach, get specific for me if you could. And you said there's some areas Northwestern is good at and in that don't show up on the stat sheets. What are some of those areas that Nebraska needs to be better? Turnovers?
Well, the kicking game is one. Northwestern's one of the better special teams in the Big Ten, as well as turnovers. And turnovers are you'll find out that probably 82, I think it's 80% plus a few nickels or dimes. Teams that get 80% of the time, they will win. The team with the most turnovers. So, that tells you something. I mean, you hear coaches time and time again say we have to get more turnovers. We have to do, things that will put ourselves in position to score. A lot of times the turnovers depend on what part of the field they're in, too. If you get the turnover on their 2-yard line, you got to go 98 yards. That's a turnover, but I don't know how much of an advantage it is to you. You might get the safety thrown on you. So, so you don't recognize that too much unless they're just dominant. And one of the things is that conditioning makes a big difference at what point of the game that something like that would happen, because the team that gets it, if they can get you worn down on defense, it's really an advantage to the offensive team. And that was one of the pluses that we always had. It was kind of hidden in the closet, was that our conditioning was so good and we had good depth that we could, outlast teams. I think that showed the 94 national championship game was a good example of that. And the other thing is I don't know if people realize that in 94, Christian Peter was our nose, and Christian's it's not hard to light his fuse. And he, we consistently warned him that any time that would really hurt the team if he did anything. And then, of course, what happened was he got punched and he didn't retaliate, and it cost him 15-yard penalty, and that put us in a first down situation from a could-be third down situation. So, or fourth, no, third. And so, those are the things, the little things that you have to, that show up in a game like this. And then I know that we went to Tokyo, and it's a tough deal traveling. It's not easy. Yeah, we had a field that had tape down. They put tape for lines. I mean, they didn't even have line fields for us to practice on. So it was a little strange, and by the time we got done tearing the tape up with our tripping over it or tearing it up with our shoes and stuff, it ended up being just back to an old baseball field.
Coach Charlie McBride is with us here on Hail Varsity Radio, another Monday with Coach. And Charlie, with this team headed over to Northwestern, pretty much all the things we have said so far today is what's thought to be common knowledge around the Husker media, that Nebraska on paper out-talents this Northwestern team, and it comes down to their execution and getting the little things done. How do you make sure that a team is confident heading into game one without being so overconfident that they're going to be missing the little details, little things that are going to win you games? How do you ride that fine line of confident and instilling that confidence without overdoing things with your team?
Well, I'll tell you one thing I do know. I've known Coach Fitzgerald since he was in high school. The guy is a winner. He was a winner. And probably the reason he wasn't a pro football player was just because of his speed. He had everything it took. He was an all Big Ten player. He was an all-conference player, I think, for 2 or 3 years. Academically, he was all Big Ten. And, he's a very, very good coach and communicates with his players very, very well. That has a ton to do with preparing kids mentally for games. Not the fact that they're learning, they will be learning, and he knows how to teach kids. He knows he's had good assistant coaches, and those are the things that win for you. I mean, you can have a lot of things go for you, but you have to have people that really can communicate well with your players. And again, that changes from year to year sometimes. So you have to be aware of that. If I was going to take any coach that I know, he'd probably be up there in the top 2.
Coach, let's look at Nebraska, and despite some reservations about pass protection with this group, either A, coming off injury, or just B, inexperience, do you think Nebraska and Whipple can find some rhythm and some comfort with the run game? We don't know what Nebraska has in the running back room other than what's been said, that they like their options. And you like the offensive line. If you come to Nebraska, you better be tough and better be able to run block. Is it as simple as just taking care of the football and be able to run the football Saturday for Nebraska offensively?
Well, they're going into a game where they don't know exactly which one of those 4 or 5 running backs is going to be the guy with the hot hand, and which is the best one in a real game. Scrimmage can be one thing. A real game, some guys turn into, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type of deal. and so you have to find out somehow, and that just goes to luck of the draw, so and so forth. But knowing your players in a game like this, or what they have potentially, sometimes in early games it takes the guy that doesn't make mistakes. He may not be the best athlete of 2 or 3 guys, but at this time he's the guy that doesn't make the mistakes. And when you're playing a conference game to open up with it opens that door a little bit. You have to be really concerned about, sometimes a guy may not play who you're saying, man, why didn't they play so-and-so? Well, there's reasons. I mean, that's why I said if somebody will ask me a question, I say I couldn't tell you. I'm not at practice. I don't know the players, that well. Sure. But I know enough to watch it on TV and know maybe some of the things that, are the mental part of it or the physical part of it. I can see some of that.
Coach Charlie McBride with us here on a Monday. And Coach, looking at the defensive side of the ball, what do you think your metric would be to evaluate a successful Husker defensive performance on Saturday? What does that defense have to do for you in your mind to say that they gave the team a chance to win?
Well, I'd come after the quarterback, number one. I'd pour the coals to him. I mean, if it's moving, kill it. I mean, in a game like this, you want those backs to feel like the side of the stadium fell in on them, not just one guy. You want to have 3 and 4 guys, and so that the first time they get the ball, they're going to say, "Ooh, this is going to be a long day," and there's something to that effect. And a lot of times that mentally it takes a toll on another team when you just come out and you're really cranking up. But the thing is you can't stop. You can't go in at halftime and have like the old days, those pros used to go and have a cigarette. But you can't do that kind of thing in college football. You got to get ready to play, and we spent a lot of time at the blackboard with our individual groups, and then we met as a team. But that individual group time it really makes a big difference, and so you can't come out. It's got to be a nothing to nothing deal. That sounds old cliche, but that's what it is. It's nothing to nothing at halftime. I don't care what the score is. If you're behind, that's a different deal. But if you're ahead, it's you can't go out there and say, "Oh, we're ahead," because the other team is going to be pumped up.
So you got to save that cigarette and bottle of Fresca for the flight home, huh?
Well, hopefully
Bobby Lane might have had a couple of beers, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Charlie McBride's with us. Coach, about a minute. Give me a final thought. I don't need a score prediction unless you want to give one, but do you think they get it done? Do you think they get it done?
I do. I think they will. I think they got the right attitude. I would be surprised if they don't. I think they have some guys on their team that have become leaders, and I think their mental outlook on this season is good. The best thing they can do is win and don't say anything. Just win and shut up, and just go. Play like heck, and a lot of that social media stuff. I'd put the screws to some of that stuff. A lot of the times players talk too much or say too many things and stuff like that. It's not a good idea.
Sure.
Because little things I know Colorado had a blackboard full of, first of all, it was full of a bunch of baloney, but it was full of some stuff that in past years we may have said something to them 10 years ago and they put it up there like it happened yesterday. So there's so many things that different coaches will do, and you have to be prepared for all of that stuff.
Coach, have some chicken wings and enjoy, and we'll wave at you from Ireland, okay?
Good. I just bought 10 pounds of those babies.
Hey, the price is right now.
Yeah, the price is back to normal again, and Coach McBride's going to be eating every chicken wing in Michigan for the game. But Coach, we'll give you a wave and a shout from Ireland, and we'll talk to you next week. How's that sound?
Okay, guys, have fun. I've been there. It's fun. Dublin's wild. Be careful.
So that's code for Schmidt may be arrested. It might be Elijah and Charlie next Monday. There we go. Coach, we appreciate you. You take care.
Okay. Thanks for having me. Talk to you next week.
All right. There he is.
Go Big Red.
Mr. Blackshirt himself, Charlie McBride, Travis Vokolek, captain, tight end coming up. Predictions up next on Hail Varsity.
And we're back.
Fellas, think we could listen to the radio lesson?
On Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery.
Yes! That's awesome!
So Kent emailed in, if you want to jump in and get your shot called, you're welcome to it. Travis Vokolek in 15 minutes. But took quite a few calls earlier in the show with many listeners predicting. And again, if this is way off, we will just Nixon this tape. It'll be okay. But numbers to dial up, 466-377-6800, 825-5865. Can email your prediction, chris@hailvarsity.com. A couple more emails to get to. Todd says 6-6. We had Greg from Michigan said 8-4, but he goes from 8-4 to 4-8-ish if it goes sideways in Northwestern. And he says Jamison will over from a draft standpoint over Guinness. That's the other question, Jamison or Guinness. You got to pick one. What is it?
We had Brennan chime in as well. He says 7-5, realistically going to drop one against Purdue, Indiana, or Illinois, but picks up one win against Oklahoma, Michigan, or Wisconsin. Iowa is his coin flip game of the season, but he says 7-5.
Okay. Without further ado, do we have any Animal House music there? Up there? Faber College theme?
I don't think so.
Try and find that in the folder. We need a little mood. Little bit mood enhancement here. We do have an email. Yeah, there we go. I can't hear you. We did get an email in from Kent. Is this it? Is this
I don't know.
The Faber College theme?
Faber College theme, Animal House soundtrack.
Okay, good.
Is this right?
Yeah, sure.
You know better than me.
Kent says Nebraska wins Saturday 24-19 over Northwestern. But I'd probably break it down 4-4. Yeah, we'll just leave it there. So 4-4. 4 likely to win. Georgia Southern, North Dakota, Indy, and Illinois. The coin flips, Northwestern, Rutgers, Purdue, Minnesota. 4 to lose, OU, Michigan, Wisconsin, Iowa. Kent says Nebraska 7-5. That's fair. And you're either in should win, gotta win, and coin flip. And without further ado, I think, and I'll give my prediction Friday during the Nebraska-Northwestern game with the Friday forecast, what exactly happens. But I think Nebraska, my lean is that they win, and I think they find a way, which is the best news for Nebraska fans because you're off on the right foot. You beat North Dakota, you beat Georgia Southern. So what do they do against Oklahoma? Predictions sure to go wrong. I think they lose to Oklahoma in a close ball game, but I think it's more frustration and anger that they lost a close one versus a pleasant surprise like last year. Last year gave them some confidence. It did. Gave them a little bit of confidence with how they played and hung in, and they were in it till the end against Oklahoma. They beat Indiana. I don't think they stumble against Rutgers. Rutgers is not at the point right now. Not that Nebraska's great. I mean, for God's sake, Nebraska's coming off 3-9. But I just don't think they go screw it up there. I don't think the leadership lets them look past. I think Purdue could be an issue. It's on the road. We are on the road for that one as well. So I think they drop one at Purdue. Tight ball game. But I think Purdue's pretty good. Purdue could be 2-4 limping into, and no one cares. I think they beat Illinois. So the question is this: what does Nebraska do with their November? Do they limp to the finish? Do they stumble to the finish? Or do they stand up and finish strong? How's that sound? You're not going to go undefeated in November. But I think you'd take a 2-2. I think 2-2 is crazy. But maybe they have enough depth and they get a kiss from the football gods and stay healthy. So with all that being said, you have Minnesota. I think they beat Minnesota this year. I think they lose at Michigan. I think they win against Wisconsin. They lose at Iowa. Look at me. 8-4.
8-4.
8-4. 8-4. And here's the other part of this. Are you going to get picky right now as a Nebraska fan with who they beat? I think you'd take beating Minnesota because you haven't in 3 years. I think you'd take beating Wisconsin. You'd party, man. You haven't beaten them since the ugly uniform game. And Black Friday in Iowa, at the end of that stretch with Minnesota at Michigan, Wisconsin at Iowa, you're going to be punch drunk. Maybe Iowa will too. Don't know. But it isn't real fun to go play in Iowa City on Black Friday. That's a tough joint to go win on the road at. Mm-hmm. It just is at the end of that death march. So I say 8-4, and you could flip-flop them, Rutgers and Purdue. I don't think you beat Oklahoma. But listen, if you get Minnesota and you get Wisconsin or Iowa, I think that all starts Saturday in Dublin. Got to win this one. But I think you can sit back and say, okay, that's a good season where you took down a couple of peers in the West and you got off to a good start. And you may get beat up by a couple of touchdowns by Michigan, or maybe Oklahoma gets hot. That's all right. I don't see them getting housed by anybody. Who's on the horn? Artez with us. Artez Craig, brother of Roger, and over-the-road trucker. Artez, you ready, man? You swimming over to Ireland?
Well, I don't know if I can get a bridge that far, but I definitely can't swim that far. But I'm going to say Nebraska 29-24 Saturday.
Okay.
And I think I'm going to agree with you, 8-4. I think that's a possibility. I'm going to be very optimistic as possible. I'm going to say 8-4.
All right. Does Nebraska need to beat an Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota for it to be a successful season?
At least
one of them,
win
right?
3 of those. Win 2 of them. 3 would be nice.
Yep.
But the key is, the key is Saturday. We start off on a good foot. Go in Oklahoma game 3-0. That'd be huge, and who knows what happens after that. Oklahoma's going through a little change, new quarterback and new coaching staff. So who knows? It's out there for us to grab if we can get it.
Well, just pack your defense, your special teams, and a run game.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny. I joke about it, but I was actually invited to a Craig reunion in Ireland 10 years ago.
Really?
And I think I would have stuck out like a sore thumb, but it'd been fun.
Well, you should have told him to make the reunion this weekend.
Right, exactly, darn it. So, well, you guys have a great time out there, man, and we were looking for you on TV.
All right, buddy. Take care. Thanks, Artez.
Right,
appreciate you tuning in.
Yep.
There he
Bye.
is. Artez Craig, big Nebraska fan for obvious reasons. Good dude. He's saying 8-4. Kent wanted to remind us that he's had a little bit of minor Kool-Aid consumption, but he is not punch drunk. 8-4 is what I say. Elijah, the floor is yours.
I am kind of with him, and just in terms of the news coming out this summer and through fall camp, sure, I'm not afraid to admit that a little bit of Kool-Aid has been sipped on my part, but not punch drunk. I'm right along there with that. So I'm going to start this off with Northwestern. I'll get a score prediction, but I think this is an extremely low-scoring game. I don't think Northwestern offensively poses much of a threat to Nebraska's defense, but I also think Nebraska's offense is going to come out and struggle early in the season, just trying to figure out what they do well, what they don't do well, and finding a rhythm against Northwestern, I think offensively might be a problem. So I think it's low-scoring. It's going to come down to who gets some of those swing plays and momentum, and I think after all the bad luck last season, Nebraska is going to make some of their own luck here, and I do think they get a win week 1 against Northwestern. It's going to be very ugly, though, is my take. Northwestern and Georgia Southern, I do think one of those teams is going to scare you early, point where you go, wow, Nebraska is not doing as well here as you think they would, but they are going to get both of those games. Oklahoma comes to town. Nebraska punches in the mouth early. Memorial Stadium is going to be rocking, but I think Oklahoma comes back and wins that game. Those are the games I've done a deep dive on, the first 4. So I think Nebraska's 3-1 through their first 4 games of the season heading into October, and I think there's still going to be good feeling around Nebraska. The fact that almost like that Iowa game last season where you punch them in the mouth early, you feel really good, and then Oklahoma, this is their first real test of the season. They're going to come back with a vengeance in the second half, and I think they do get the job done in a close game. Indiana, Rutgers, Purdue, and Illinois. I think Nebraska loses one of those games. My money would be on the Purdue game. I think that Purdue team is going to be pretty solid this season. But Nebraska, par for the course for what you've expected under Frost. I think they drop one of those games. I'm not prepared to give you a 100% answer on what that game is going to be. I'll wait and see what some of those teams look like through the first couple weeks, but I'll say Nebraska loses one of those. Nebraska wins one of three between Minnesota, Michigan, and Wisconsin. And then Iowa's a coin flip. So I got Nebraska either 7-5 or 8-4, depending on how that Iowa game goes. And I think a lot of that's going to come down to what kind of momentum Nebraska can find against Minnesota, Michigan, and Wisconsin. If they lose to both Michigan and Wisconsin, I don't like them and their chances headed to Iowa. But if they can beat one of Michigan or Wisconsin, I really like what they can go do in a final game of the season against Iowa with a chance to improve your bowl standing on the line.
Well, Brett McMurphy says Pinstripe Bowl against Virginia Tech. So we start the year off in Dublin, and we end the year crashing with our dear friend Garth Glitzman. We haven't even asked permission yet, but in New York for the bowl game. I would hope Phoenix, because we could send a whole bunch of people down to Phoenix and kick it at my mom's for the bowl game.
Well, I got friends in Phoenix, too. We could make it a whole party, all Husker Nation down there.
We're just going to show up at Barnett's house. Barney, you got room, brother? You got room at the inn for us?
Can you get us a tea time, too?
Yeah, we aren't picky. We'll play with the live guys or the PGA guys. Just sneak us on your course.
And if you'd be so kind, some ribs when we get home would be real nice.
And a Corona. I mean, we're just we're gonna play this for him. We're going to tape Barnett tomorrow. George Darlington. Coach Darlington's going to be with us this week. We're going to chat with him on Wednesday before I start rowing. And, get ready to rock and roll. So, Elijah, you got to declare 8 or 7. Okay?
7.
Elijah says 7-5. I say 8-4.
I think the team's going to look good, and then I think they're going to falter a little bit late in the season.
Everyone has the lack of focus game.
Yep.
Do you survive it?
Yes.
Is the question. Travis Vokolek next on Hail Varsity.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
A few minutes here, Hail Varsity Radio. Travis Vokolek, senior captain, tight end. How are the bags packed? Was it tough?
Yeah, if I'm being honest with you, I haven't packed yet. So I got to do that tonight. But, we're so excited to get over there and finally ready to get this thing rolling.
How's camp gone? Has it been different? Has it been the same? Kind of explain to me the process and the work that's gone in.
Yeah, camp is camp. It's going to be tough. It's a grind every day. And guys know that, luckily, we've got a bunch of guys on this team who attack every day, who, grind it out, put the work in every day. So camp's gone really well. Coach Frost has done a great job. Coach Whipple's done a great job taking care of us. Our bodies feel great. We're excited, and we're ready to go.
Has the grind been different with some new faces, some new voices this year on the offensive staff?
Yeah, it's been different. Camp, like I said, is a grind. And, hearing different guys, specifically, with our OC this year, different guy than last year, coming in, and Coach Whip's done a great job. We got a couple transfers that came in, and, they've done a great job as well. So it's been different, but I've enjoyed it.
A few minutes here, Travis Vokolek here. We're at Memorial Stadium. They board for Ireland tomorrow. So let's go into Coach Whipple and his offense, his philosophy. Explain that for the fans, what they may see without giving away state secrets.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of different things that you'll see. There'll be similarities and differences from last year. There's a lot of opportunities for our playmakers to go out and make plays, and that's something I've noticed in camp is that we've got a lot of guys that can make plays this year. Coach Whipple's done a great job, and Coach Frost has done a great job of putting us in positions to get our playmakers the ball. So, we're excited, and I can't wait for Husker Nation to see what's going to happen.
What's it mean to you to be picked by your peers to be a captain?
Yeah, it means everything. It's such a great honor to be selected as a captain for the Nebraska football team. It's something I've dreamed of. Obviously, Oz was a captain last year, and I wanted to try and follow in his footsteps. And I talked to him last night, and he congratulated me, and he really made it aware to me how important and how big of a decision it is to be selected as a captain. So it's awesome, and I love that I've been selected to be a leader on this football team.
What's that responsibility mean to you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it means everything. It's one thing to be selected as a captain, but there's a whole responsibility that comes with it. Making sure that guys are on time, from stuff like that to when practice is slacking a little bit, to picking up the energy, getting on the guys, and making sure they're doing the right thing all the time. So it's a huge responsibility, and I'm ready to attack it.
Coach Frost has talked about, and other members of the team have talked about, what are you doing when nobody's looking? Is it fair to say you're a guy that is always preparing, working like someone is looking?
Yeah, I like to look at myself as a hard worker. I have fun too. I'm human, so whether that's going out and playing golf or doing stuff like that. But specifically with this first game, we've been watching film on these guys for a while now, and not only me, but the whole offense as a whole and the whole team as a whole. We've really been preparing hard for this first game because we know how important this first game is. So we're really, really excited and ready to go.
What are you taking into this first game, this week 0? What can you take and learn from last year? Mm-hmm. A lot put on that Illinois opener.
Yeah, we want to go week by week, day by day, go 1-0 every week. We, as a team, know how important this first game is. We go out, we play well, say we win the first game, and, then the season, it takes off. So we all know how important this first game is, and, we're preparing each day, and, guys are working their rear ends off, and we're excited to get over there and we're ready for this game.
Tell me about Casey at quarterback, what you've noticed and appreciate about him.
Yeah, Casey's a great dude. I'm happy he's on our football team. He's a great leader, very vocal. He can throw the ball well, run the ball well. He knows the offense in and out. So I'm super excited he's our quarterback, and I'm ready for this game.
How's the blend been with guys like yourself that have been here, on top of the 15 transfers / portal guys? How did that work, and how did you help make that work as one of the voices on the team?
Yeah, it's been different. As a transfer myself, it's completely different than whenever I transferred here. But, it was super easy. We've recruited great guys, and all the transfers that came in are great guys. So it was super easy. They get here and you talk to them and you get to know them, and you know them as people, in the facility, and then know them as people out of the facility as well. And, we got a bunch of great dudes on this football team, and I'm happy they're on the team.
How did you guys bond? How did you bring in the new guys?
Yeah, so, they come in, you get, it's always kind of awkward first meeting them.
Barbecue.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of weird first meeting them, and then you hang out outside the facility playing golf, doing stuff like that. And I'm super happy with the guys we have here on this team.
How's your golf game? Are you going to get to sneak away over in Ireland?
I don't know. It'd be cool to be able to do that, but we're going over there to play the game, and we're going to be doing a lot of cool stuff over there. So we're super excited to get over there.
Travis Vokolek with us, Hail Varsity Radio, ahead of Nebraska, Northwestern in Ireland. We take off on Wednesday to set up shop over there. So my first time overseas for you?
Yep, it is. Yeah, I'm super excited.
You researched it at all, or is it just more about the game?
It's more about the game. I've looked up a couple pictures, and Coach Frost has shown us some pictures and stuff, just so we're not in awe when we first go over there, so we know what we're getting ready for when we get over there. But first time out of the country, and we're super excited.
Last thought, tell me about the back and forth, this camp between the offense and the defense, and what are you excited about when it comes to all three phases, really, of the game?
Yeah, it's like you said, it's been back and forth, the whole camp. Offense has their days, defense has their days. It's been a grind. Guys are competing like crazy, guys are going at it, and we're excited to go against a different team finally. So, special teams has been doing really well with camp so far as well. Coach Bush has done a great job with that. Guys are prepared in every aspect. So we're ready to showcase it.
Enjoy the trip. We'll see you over there.
Thanks for having me.
Travis Vokolek with us, Hail Varsity Radio. Thanks to Travis for spending some time with us yesterday. The Sunday presser, the bus, and the police escort about 20 minutes ago as Nebraska's headed off to fly over to Dublin. You know, Nebraska and Travis, and we'll hear from Garrett Nelson before we say goodbye as well. But the guys are embracing the importance, Elijah, of this game, of this moment. And I think they were able to learn, as painful as last year was for a lot of Nebraska fans that went to Illinois for week 0. They've not wasted that failure.
And I just hope like they got those videos playing on repeat on the plane ride. No movies, just, oh, here's scoop and score. Oh, here's safety into the end zone on a punt. Just have those things playing on repeat for motivation to this team to like make sure that doesn't happen again. Make sure you're locked in, not just on game day, but all week long for this game, because that's what it's going to take to beat a Northwestern team that we know every single year is well coached and is not going to beat themselves.
The sick and tired of being sick and tired factor is off the charts for this one for Nebraska and their leadership, and a little difference, that fine line here, and mulligan opportunity for Nebraska for week 0. Good stuff today. We'll wind down a Monday edition of Hail Varsity. On the road tomorrow, back at the Hail Varsity Club, as we'll lead into Day by Day, that Husker football documentary airing tomorrow at 8 at the Hail Varsity Club.
Miss us?
Come here, brother. Give me a hug. Bring it in for the real thing.
We're on call for you. Catch the podcast at hailvarsity.com, the ESPN Lincoln app, or download them on iTunes.
Saddle up, partner.
Back to Hail Varsity Radio.
One final time, podcast will be up. Spotify, iTunes, Google Play is where you can hear it. You can see it, the Hail Varsity YouTube channel. And thanks to all of you who've subscribed. I mean, that number keeps jumping, and great content from Vogues and Aaron Sorensen and Jacob Padilla and the crew. I mean, just awesome people over at Hail Varsity. Hail Varsity Club tomorrow. You're in Omaha. You're in the metro region. Come see us. We're 4 to 6 tomorrow at the Hail Varsity Club. But you can log on, hailvarsityclub.com. And if they're sold out, sorry.
They just sold out this afternoon, actually.
Okay, so shut up.
I was getting there.
No, not you, me. Like,
I was just getting there with you.
No, my info
before I corrected you.
But the point is you had a chance to see Day by Day at the Hail Varsity Club. I think it starts at 8. But why not get a beer and a burger beforehand?
Why not buy Schmidt a beer?
Yeah, we got to pace ourselves, my friend. We are going to Ireland for a week. So let's hear from Garrett Nelson. And Garrett talked about not gripping it too tight. And I think, obviously, Nebraska was in their own head last year in front of Illinois.
I missed my perfect chance.
No, I know.
That's what she said.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah. Take a second.
Here's Garrett Nelson.
It was pretty surreal, especially doing it with Nick.
Oh, wait.
Nick's been there for me, and
I think you meant this one.
Yeah, that's kind of a fine line. You know, you don't want to be messing around, unfocused, but you also, don't want to hold onto the stick too tight and crash into the mountain. We've kind of fallen into that because obviously we know the stakes and we know what's riding on it. We know the pressure, and that's all great. That elevates your play and your focus. But when you start, looking at things to not hit, you usually end up hitting them instead of looking for the path of success. So as a leader, I just want guys to know, there's a lot of stakes and there's a lot of pressure, but we've done the training, we've done the work, we enjoy playing with each other. We just got to go do that when a different color is on the field.
You can talk about confidence, and I think Nebraska fans need to see that response moment. Like, team can be confident, they can trust their training. Nebraska fans need to see a whole lot of get done in the fourth quarter before there's some trust. And it's going to be more than one. But this one is a big step at getting the fan base's trust back. And it's 2 3-9 teams, or 2 teams coming off 3-9. And you have that experience factor that should be the difference maker for you for Nebraska. If you take care of the football, that experience means, air quote, fewer turnovers. And you have that against Northwestern. Coach McBride nailed it. You're going to win the football game. Tomorrow, Hale Varsity Club, 4 to 6, ahead of Day by Day. The documentary, come see us up in Omaha. Coach Kaz with us tomorrow. Mitch Sherman in an airport, or maybe the College Football Hall of Fame, before he takes off for Dublin. Elijah Herbel, Chris Schmidt. Talk to you tomorrow at 4 with Hale Varsity, presented by the Nebraska Lottery.